Continental Tire Coach's Corner. Continental Tire, the official tire of Major League Soccer. Soccer fans expect peak performance on the pitch, also demand peak performance on the street. That's why Continental has built a tire for what you do, whether you're heading to the game, taking the kids to practice, or just kicking it around. Continental has engineered a line of tires that includes best-in-class wet braking, superb handling. It's the best tire you can get. Official supporter of the Dan Patrick Show. Visit ContinentalTire.com to learn more. He's the head coach of the USC Trojans. Went 10-3 last year. Clay Helton joining us, the Continental Tire Coach's Corner. How's morale, Coach?
Doing well, doing well. Practice 8 today, full pad, so right in the heart of camp right now.
Most famous quarterback in Los Angeles is who?
Oh, my goodness. I would have to say I like ours a lot right now. So he's pretty popular after coming off a good season. I think there's probably he's the one that may have the most expectations on him as of right now. So promising young prospect that's playing some really good football and hopefully will continue this season.
I know you want him to continue this progress here, but how often do you caution people on, hey, he's young, let him develop? Because we've already got him as the number one pick in the draft, you know, and Sam Darnold certainly showed promise last year, but what's your role in this with the media and the expectations on him?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's always expectations when you're the quarterback at USC, and we accept that, and we know that. And, you know, if you don't like it, don't accept the job. And he welcomes it. He doesn't see it as an obligation. He sees it as an opportunity. But we also got to be realists, too. As he and I both know, you know, he's only started 9 games, and his ceiling is so high, and he has not reached it. And there's so much left to do. So, you know, we're focusing on capturing the now, capturing this moment, trying to get better today, trying to create a big stack of little wins. Don't worry about what's going to happen 5, 6, 7, 8 months from now. And I'm fortunate as a head coach because he's a kid that truly believes in the team's success rather than his own success, and that's what he's concerned with. And he understands, you know, as he says, Coach, I'm not a finished product. I've got so much more I can do to be able to grow, and that's what we try to do on a day-to-day basis.
You also look at his demeanor. If you don't win and you have that demeanor, then we're very critical of you, like Jay Cutler. But then you have Joe Montana, who had a very cool, calm demeanor. Sam has a very calm, you know, it's almost like his EKG. There's no movement to his heart rate there. Is that just who he is? I mean, and how is that a positive for him?
Yeah, you know, he is so special in his mental toughness because you look at him and you say, gosh dang, he reminds you of that great pitcher or that great golfer. You know, that guy, the guy that takes that one swing or that one pitch, and once he swings, that's gone. That swing's gone. That pitch is gone. And he moves on. And it doesn't matter whether it was good or bad. He just moves on to the next step. One of my favorite plays of the entire season last year is that last pass he threw in the Rose Bowl to tie the game up. And every 18-year-old is supposed to be going nuts in that scenario and just going crazy. And he literally, as soon as he completes it, looks over to the sideline at me and goes, Coach, are we going for 1 or 2? Just like he's trained. And I'm like, gosh almighty, what an old soul, what a mature soul, and thank God he's a Trojan because he's helping us a lot.
How do you explain that game, that last game? Like if somebody didn't see that, how would you explain what happened in that game?
Gosh almighty, just it was really neat because it was 2 really good football teams at the time playing their best football. You know, Penn State and USC were playing as good a football as there was out there and competing at such a high level, and it made for a great show. This is going to be my 23rd year of college football, and that was the most fun I've ever had in a game. I've seen James Franklin several times since that game, and we always kid each other about, man, wasn't that special? He goes, yeah, you sorry dog. But he says, yeah, what an unbelievable special game for college football, our fans, and it really shows where our 2 programs are at right now, and hopefully headed back in the right direction. Talking
to Clay Helton, USC head football coach. What do your kids or wife? What if they have UCLA colors accidentally, like bluish or gold? Is anybody? What happens if that happens? You know, you're around them, accidentally.
And not a lot of blue in our house,
okay.
Especially light blue.
Okay, all right.
Probably not a lot of cardinal and gold over on the other side of the street either. But we're fortunate here. I mean, it's a unique rivalry because really, you see those rivalries are usually in different towns, and you have two elite academic schools, elite athletic schools in the same city, right across the street from each other. It makes for a lot of fun.
If you arm wrestled Jim Mora, who wins?
He probably gets me. He's a big dude. I would compete my butt off, but Jim's pretty good in shape and a big man. So it'd be a heck of a fight, but Jim may get me.
But you're not conceding, right?
No,
okay.
Never,
right.
Never.
Right. Fight on, right? Absolutely.
Fight on every step of the way. Yes, sir.
A lot of times, and I mentioned this last hour, when you have a great quarterback or you're coming off a great end to a season, and people say, "Oh, can you carry that momentum over?" And I always say, you gotta slow your expectations, and I really believe that with you guys. I don't consider you guys the best team in the Pac-12. Doesn't mean you won't be, but I think sometimes you look and the expectations are maybe a little too high for you guys. I don't know. Talk me into it. That have I underestimated USC to this point, or do you agree that maybe people are expecting too much right now?
Yeah, Dan, I think what people see is they see a great quarterback. They see Ronald Jones being here. But this team is different than last year's team. You look at that Rose Bowl team, there were 14 men that signed NFL contracts off last year's team. 5 were drafted, 9 free agent contracts. And not only were they great players, but they were also great leaders. And now we've got some, young players trying to come up in that leadership role. Cam Smith replacing a Mike Hutchings as kind of the quarterback of our defense. A Sam Darnold in his 3rd season now trying to capture an entire offense. A Chinua Nwosu and Porter Gustin trying to take over where Stevie T was at as the rock of our defensive front. So there are some lessons that we learned. We got a lot of confidence out of last year. We learned a lot of lessons from last season with our older guys, but this is a group that's going to have to grow together because their roles are different. They're in new leadership roles. Guys that haven't played like that young, talented wideout core, they're going to be seeing bullets fired for the first time in early September. So we'll go through some growing pains there. It's a different team. It's a talented team, but it's a different team than last year. Best college football player you ever coached against? Oh, my goodness. Or played against? I would, I tell you what, I would have to say over 23 years. I know one is right here in the office that I is near and dear to my heart. There was a guy named T. Martin that played right after a pretty good played right after a pretty good quarterback himself. He came in and won a national championship, and I remember being with Dad and having to see and getting to see T and the expectations that were on him, and him leading that team to a national championship. So I've always respected T as a person and a coach, but I always go back and say, wow, he was a really, really great college football player. Does he remind you? How often does he remind you that he won a national championship? Never brings it up. Not one time. Maybe one of those humble people I've ever been around. Does he wear a ring though, like a national championship? No, never wears it. Never wears it. He's about as good as he is as a coach and as a player. He's a pretty humble person. Do these kids on the team know what he did in college? I remind him. He won't remind him, but I do. Anytime you win a national championship at Tennessee as the quarterback, that's kind of instant respect. So I usually do that for him. Well, good luck this upcoming season. We'll check in with you when the season starts. But thanks again, Coach. Good to talk to you again. Dan, great talking to you. Thank you. All right, that's Clay Helton, USC head football coach, the Continental Tire Coach's Corner. They got a tire for you. We love being a partner. They're a proud supporter of the Dan Patrick Show. Continental Tire, the official tire of Major League Soccer. And soccer fans, what they expect, they demand, just like you. There is a tire for you. They've engineered a line of tires that includes best-in-class wet braking, superb handling. Continental Tire, proud supporter of the Dan Patrick Show. Visit ContinentalTire.com for more.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.